Merry meet and welcome to the second night of Kyphi. We're going to reduce our second ingredient to powder tonight, and then we're going to add it to the container that already has the frankincense in it. Today's ingredient is going to be sandalwood. Sandalwood is something we have to give some thought to nowadays, and the reason is sandalwood, like frankincense, because it has been so used for incense for so long now, is in many cases an endangered species. So I ask again that if you're going to work seriously with your incenses, that you do a little studying and know what is happening to some of these beautiful species as we are depleting them. Now, my research tells me that there are forms of red sandalwood which are not on the endangered species list, and that is indeed what I have here. It is very important as part of the meditative process of making your Kyphi that it not be powdered already. It really needs to be something that you will reduce to powder as part of your meditation. And you might remember that this is the vessel I'm using for my measurement, and we used 3 parts of frankincense last night, which brought us to here, and we're going to use 2 parts of sandalwood, so we're going to not be filling this up quite as far. It might look like I'm putting a lot in here, but since sandalwood is dry, it will, in the process of grinding, reduce itself by quite a bit. So we are, as we did last night, going to make a meditative process out of the grinding of our sandalwood. And I'm going to, as I did last night, introduce you to the powers of sandalwood as I see them. And then I will take some time privately to reduce the sandalwood all of the way down. So let me tell you a little bit about what sandalwood is to me. I think we all know sandalwood as one of those cleansing, purifying. Let me get Ernie out of the way. He found something to eat as per usual. Ernie does make me be tidier than I might otherwise be. I don't know how many of the rest of you, when you have your space that you create incense in, the working that you do with your herbs, it tends to be a place full of all kinds of dust and botanical leftovers. And Ernie is a good vacuum cleaner for that. Sandalwood, we all know, we recognize it when we smell it. We use it in our incenses. We purchase incenses that have sandalwood in it because of its ability to cleanse. And as I mentioned yesterday, a lot of these ingredients for Kyphi, we know in our modern usage of them as purifying and cleansing incenses. So certainly at the top of my personal list of what sandalwood is to me, what it feels like, what it rises up in me, is that feeling of being clean and pure and washed. So not surprising that sandalwood is considered to be the water element, that refreshing, purifying, cleaning. Some of these cleansing incenses, there's a heaviness to them that brings down and quietens. And then there are other cleansing incense and purifying incenses that rise up, lift on the air, and that movement and that flowing, that lightness, is where their cleansing power comes from. Of the incenses which are cleansing, sandalwood to me is the most calming of all of them. I do not have a calm nature. It is not the way I am in this world. I can be calm, I can be calmed, but I am not by nature a particularly calm individual. So the power of sandalwood to me has often been in my life that it is a settling down, a quieting. If it's water, it is the water of the still pond that reflective, mirror-like surface. When one has a familiar that is a fairy vacuum cleaner, one must dismiss the familiar from the room every now and then. You will be spared, my friends, the slurping and snorting, which is the Ernie background noise for the rest of this video. He's eating too much. He's going to get sick. And I cannot be tidy enough to meet his need. So I will think calming thoughts of sandalwood and come back to focusing on what I am doing tonight, which is talking about the attributes of sandalwood as I say it. Being a person who takes advantage of every opportunity which brings her to a quieter, softer level. Sandalwood is that for me. The quiet surface of a still pond. That permits air to move over it. That peaceful stillness with air freely moving is what sandalwood feels like to me. It's known to enhance mental clarity. That's one of its standard correspondences. I find it does that by stilling the mind. The clarity is a result of tuning out the things which disrupt the monkey mind, the too busy, the too emotional even, all the things which make it so that our brain is going off in so many different directions, and it's a failing of being a human in our modern society. Sandalwood to me stills all the noise. That's where its power of clarity comes, to my mind, in the calm that it creates, in the stillness. It's also said as its standard correspondence that it is an aid to devotion. I find it's the same thing, that devotion rises out of that calm place that we can't always get to, and sandalwood assists us in getting to that place. There's another aspect of sandalwood which is one of my favorite aspects of sandalwood. It is known to be sensual, to be sensuous. That fits in with me very easily with the being still, being calm. In that place you feel more. You are more aware of what's around you. You're hypersensitive in that way. Not in a way of too busy, too many incoming things to think of, but when you are still, the few powerful things that surround you are very important to you, and you're very connected to them. And that will be your feelings for others. It will be your relationship with others. It will be your physical relationship with others. Sandalwood is a very, very sensuous incense. And of course, aligned with its powers of be calming, be stilling, be quieting, it's an aid to meditation. It's an aid to getting to that place of that kind of spiritual quiet. And it is said to be an aid to trance work. I had that on my list of correspondences going back to the early days when we collected our correspondences for herbs, and I didn't get that for a long time, that aid to trance work. Logically, I could accept that. It was because, once again, of getting to that quiet place. But I realized that the power of sandalwood was not just that it got you to that place, but it would get you back to that place. So in your trance work, there was the importance of using sandalwood as the base, the place you start from, but it also is the thing that brings you back. All of us who train to do trance work have our techniques either discovered or taught about how to come back from the trance work. And I find one of the blessings of sandalwood in my life has been, if it is burning, it will return me to the place I rightfully belong, which is the here and now. It permits me great freedom to explore and travel, and it calls me home when it's time to return. That, my friends, are the things that sandalwood means to me. So, when I am off camera, because it will take some time, reducing the sandalwood, I will be thinking of all the things that it means to me personally on this second night of Kyphi. I'll return to you when the reduction is complete. Welcome back. And here is what we've ended up with for our sandalwood. Now, for those of you who are thinking, who are experienced working with woods, and you're thinking, oh, what's her magical, mystical way of getting that wood down to that fine? For Kyphi, you want something that is almost a powder. We don't normally need to worry about sandalwood being this fine. But for Kyphi, we want it to be fine so that it blends in with the other ingredients. So let me tell you what I did. I took the sandalwood chips and I did process them enough to get them broken down by about half to break up the fibers. So thank goodness for electric processors, that really does help. And then I spent about a half an hour giving it my all and getting it down as far as I could possibly get it on my own. And if you are used to working with the fibers in wood, that will only be so far. So I got it down that far as I possibly could, and then I did use the blender again, the electric spice blender again, to get it down even further. Even at that though, because of the nature of the fibers in sandalwood, what I then did was sieve it. Place all of it in a sieve, shake it out so what fell below was indeed the most refined part of it. The other fibers I will use in meditations and in my other incenses as a base and a carrier more than anything else. They hold oils wonderfully and they mix with resins wonderfully. So here I am with my red sandalwood fingers and my powdered sandalwood. My next step is going to be to meditate on the purpose of the sandalwood in the Kyphi. And as you might remember, we started with frankincense, which is remembering and connecting with all that has come before. The making of Kyphi is in many ways the building of a sacred space, the casting of a circle. We began with connecting to what has come before, and then we are purifying that space. We are adding the element of purifying and cleansing, which comes before the work of our meditations and indeed the work of our circles. Frankincense, connecting with what came before. Sandalwood, purifying the space. 2 parts of sandalwood. Night 2 of making Kyphi. I make this offering as the offering which purifies